Welcome to SF Commercial Property Conversations with Bruce Bean, where Bay Area investments meet expert insights. Get ready to unlock the strategies of commercial real estate success.
So today we have David Schmidt with us, and David has come from Long Island, grew up in Long Island, and actually went for a slight detour to Texas, and now he's in San Diego doing tenant rep for the most part, but he's been in commercial real estate for a long time. So David, it's great to have you. I just love to kind of hear a little bit more about your origin story of how you got into real estate.
It's very interesting. Real quickly, I had a career change when I was 40 years old, and I spoke to several major companies in Dallas at the time. And long story short, wound up taking a position in the office division with Henry S. Miller Company, which at that time was doing about 1970, 1980. They were doing $2 billion in Texas.
Wow.
Yeah, so they were a large company. Went to work for them in their office division. Within a month, we were bought by Grubb & Ellis and became the largest independently owned real estate company in the world at that time. Things have changed over 40 some odd years, but I started and worked with a gentleman called Roger Staubach.
Oh, geez. Wow. Yeah.
And everybody knows Roger. He built his own company in Dallas doing tenant rep. And he and I look at us as kind of pioneers in that industry. The office market in 1984 in Dallas more than tripled itself because the savings and loans had more money than they knew what to do with. They couldn't get it out fast enough. So they built Class A office buildings. And once all these buildings were built by 1983, 84, 85, everyone realized that the traditional CB Richard Ellis's and firms, national firms like that, were not capable of filling all these buildings up. So the independent tenant rep industry kind of started, and I look at Roger and myself as, pioneers in that industry. And I was very fortunate to be able to represent companies in Dallas because Dallas was a growing city at that time, and major corporations were moving there and putting in large offices. And we had done deals with companies like PepsiCo and Equifax and companies of that ilk. So that's how I cut my teeth on that business. And
Wow.
I was able to sort of meld my previous Western background with real estate when I got an opportunity with the Texas Rangers to sell a seized property, highly visible seized property in Dallas, which was Cutter Bill's Western store. We did business with them when I was at Resistol, and I was fortunate enough to get it was probably one of the most high profile buildings and sales at that time in Dallas.
Wow. So did you work for Roger when he went out on his own?
Did not work for Roger. Roger actually worked for Henry S. Miller Company while he was quarterbacking. And once he finished his stint with the Cowboys, he formed his own company.
Oh,
And
I
we were
see.
kind of competitors, but we really weren't because Roger's company was doing so much work. I was just starting in the industry. So when Roger's company had a smaller assignment that was not up to the standards that they would like to see, they would call me up, even though it's another company, another person. So I said, fine, guys, send me whatever you don't want because I'm still learning the business. And that's how I learned the business. And then I started doing work for the Henry S. Miller family and handling their office building in North Park, which was actually one of the first malls built in the United States.
Oh,
And
wow.
they had a shopping center, not mall, but a shopping center and an office building. And then I handled Vance's office buildings, uh, Henry's son, and there was an interesting experience. So I really got to meet a lot of who's who in my real estate career in Dallas, and also who's who in my pre real estate in the Western business.
That was sort of the quote the Mad Men period of commercial real estate. It's a
It
wild
was.
world.
It was a wild world, and it happened there first. We went from a what I would consider in any state in the union a weak marginal city for regional offices to the major city for corporate relocation, and that was because of the visions that the forefathers had to build an airport the size of New York. Uh, they built a international airport uh, when that business was just starting to take off. They had cheap housing, cheap labor, and it all fit. And they knew how to sway companies like J.C. Penney's, American Airlines, and other companies to move out of New York and gain great financial incentives to come to the new Dallas.
Wasn't that also the time, kind of the oil boom time?
It kind of was. We had a period of time just before I got into real estate in the late 70s, beginning of the early 80s, when the three foundations of revenue for Texas was oil, real estate, and banking. And
Oh,
they
yeah.
all went into the crapper at the same time.
Oh, oh God. Yeah. Oh, they all went out. Wow.
They
Okay.
all went out. And then by middle, a little bit, not middle, but by uh, the late 80s, early 90s, things were changed a lot. Real estate had changed. And, we saw the S&Ls basically go out of business. Some banks went out of business. And I remember in talking to some investors we represent, we go to the FDIC and they say, yeah, we have a shopping center for sale in Dallas, but that comes with an office building in Houston.
Oh.
Well, we don't want the office building in Houston. I said, well, it comes with it. Buy one, get one free kind of thing. And that
That's a
was
twofer.
it was a tough time in Texas at that point because, the income producing industries, the large income producing industries were all seemed to be collapsing.
We're seeing a little bit of that right now, right?
We are seeing a little bit of that. Office has become from an investment standpoint, it's a tough industry, and still people are buying, investing in office buildings, but the lending requirements, from what I understand, have gone up significantly, which means that if you want to buy an office building as an investment, they're probably going to want 50% down.
Yeah,
And
right.
that's a big nut. Now, however, on a smaller scale, we're working with a lot of our uh, clients to put them into owner-occupied buildings using SBA financing, which actually is only 10% down, which makes it a lot more palatable, and they have to occupy 51% of the building, which usually is not a problem. And then it gives them the opportunity to build uh, build an income stream and have a building real estate for sale someday, or real estate and the business for sale, or the business for sale and keep the real estate. So it's a very lucrative option for a lot of tenants today, because it really gives them uh, a little bit more, a lot more, for paying not much more that they would in rent.
Oh, that's very interesting. So we skipped a little chapter here in that you're now in San Diego. So when did you move to San Diego from Texas?
In 1977,
Oh,
just when San Diego was starting to come back, in residential real estate, at least, because we kind of have tracked residential real estate and tried to interwove that with what's doing in commercial, and it doesn't quite mesh. But the interesting part about real estate in residential is that every year, 8, 9, it's gone up substantially. So when we got here in 97, it was, there wasn't a lot of buying and selling of residential homes.
oh, interesting.
98 started to get good, and 99 started to get good, which followed at that point almost a 40-year cycle.
So did you actually sell residential for a while?
Did not do any residential, other than for a friend of mine who insisted that I buy this property for him, and I did, and I muddled through it and said I don't want to do it anymore. It's out of my bailiwick. I don't understand it.
No, I understand completely. The few residential transactions I've gone are just complete brain damage. So
Now, I will tell you, though, we work very closely with residential companies, because I learned this with Henry S. Miller. We had our residential was as strong as our commercial divisions, and I have just picked up I just concluded one of the largest leases in downtown San Diego. It was about $6 million for a school, and the referral came to me from a residential realtor.
oh yeah, no, that's
And
fantastic.
so, I don't do residential, not because I don't want to offend anybody. It's just out of my wheelhouse. But residential realtors feel the same way. They don't want to do commercial, so they know they can refer to me, and we would take care of them as if it was our own client.
Yeah, no, that's fantastic. So you get out to San Diego. Now you said we. How many people work with you right now?
Well, it's my wife and myself. It's a controlled force, sales force. Uh, and at this point, that's all we need. I
Yeah.
when I was with Henry S. Miller, after being in the business for less than 6 months, they saw my potential. They made me head of a department. They put me on an override system. I handled at that point about uh, $4 or $5 million worth of business a year, and you wind up being a babysitter.
Yeah.
And I said, I want to be out in the action. I want to do the deals myself. I don't have any assistance, because by the time you train somebody to do something, and they could probably most likely do it wrong, you may as well do it right yourself the first time.
No, that's fantastic. So give us a little clue here. We talked a little bit about office market. So is the retail market doing pretty well in San Diego these days?
It is, and the reason it is, one of the prime reasons, is that we are geographically confined. We got ocean on one side, mountains on the other. The other part of it is that because I believe because of COVID, uh, and other financial dynamics, there has been no new development of retail. So we have a limited supply that since COVID has been chewed up slowly but surely. So we see no price reductions in leasing or in sales, and it just seems to be holding its own. So without any new product being developed over 5 or 7 years, it makes any kind of category strong. The strongest, of course, is industrial.
Next question.
Industrial has just been, where probably in 2017, you're looking at $1 a foot, $1.25 a foot, plus triple nets. Today, there's not much at $2.50 a square foot.
Oh, wow.
Triple net, yeah.
Wow.
And most of it is just, again, no new product. The old product has been absorbed. We had a major industry influx of breweries in late 17, 18, 19 before COVID.
Right.
And they swallowed up a lot of our inventory and have maintained it ever since.
Oh, wow. Oh, so they're still doing fine.
Most of them are doing fine. The bigger ones are doing fine. And they've gone into the food industry. They've opened up restaurants as a sideline to their brewery business. So it kind of, is stabilized.
That's fantastic. So do you fiddle around in the multifamily world at all?
I do not. I never understood that even prior to COVID, how somebody could buy something, make 2 to 3% and sell it in 5 years or 10 years. I have friends of mine who were smarter than me. They did it personally, and they were very successful at it.
Yeah, no, I did it. Much more difficult world, so I don't. Not a lot of fun to mess around with, as far as I'm concerned.
No, I think if you're 40 years old and you go into it and say, this is going to be my retirement when I'm 70 and just maintain it, it's a really good investment. Because housing today is a real problem, in San Diego and other parts of California. There's just not enough of it.
Yeah. Are you seeing a lot of affordable housing going up in San Diego these days?
We're seeing some of it. I think part of it is, it's still being fought by local residents. We even have issues on building these small modular homes, for grandparents or for leasing. They want to keep that out of as much out of San Diego as possible. Affordable housing, is not even affordable anymore, to be honest.
Even what was affordable housing is not affordable anymore.
Exactly.
Yeah, no, that's a problem throughout California, I think. So
it is.
Major problem. Yeah. So what's your sort of crystal ball for the future think it's going to look like? Are the tariffs starting to affect you at all?
Not yet. Not yet. And if it affects an industry, it could affect the industrial market somewhat, as well as the retail market. But those markets have high demand right now. So if there's fallout, quite honestly, I think there are other tenants that would step in to take them out. I also feel that if push came to shove, uh, there's two options for owners of uh, industrial property, more so than retail or even office. And that is that they could sign a long-term lease with an existing tenant, good national credit tenant, and sell that on a pretty good cap rate.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that will insulate them a little bit. And it's also a great opportunity for an owner user that wants to do some what they call off balance sheet financing and buy a building with a good credit tenant in there that's going to pay rent for the next 10, 15, 20 years. So
Yeah.
you've insured that income stream.
So you were talking about SBA loans and owner user approaches. So do you have a clue what the current SBA loans are running these days?
I think they're close to about 6.75.
Oh,
Uh,
that's
they're
pretty
10,
good.
yes. And with 10% down, it makes it a good option. Plus the fact that the tenant is going to occupy the tenant's business, uh, guarantees the income. So let's say you have an office building with two tenants or three tenants or four tenants. The economy gets bad. You come into the building Monday morning and it's empty. And these guys just slid it out, and now you got an empty building and you got to try to refill it. If you own a building as an owner user, you're the majority of that occupancy. You're 51%. You're paying rent. You know what's going on with your own company, so you know it's not going to run off in the middle of the night. And if the other tenant leaves or the other two tenant leaves, you have enough in what you're paying in rent to cover your mortgage. So it's a pretty risk-free opportunity for most tenants to get into real estate. Now, if somebody came to me and said, hey, I want to buy a 50,000 square foot multi-tenant office building, I would probably hesitate to work with them because I just don't think it makes sense. And I think in the final analysis, it's going to be a waste of my time and waste of their time.
So I know up here in the Bay Area, there have been some real fire sales. One building sold for 75 million a few years ago and recently resold for 25 million just in the last 6 months. So I don't, is that happening in San Diego also?
That has happened in downtown primarily, in
Yeah.
downtown only. And I think this is part of what I call the downtown phenomenon.
Mm.
We're seeing buildings that were bought by real savvy investors, uh, and they paid, you know, 200, 250 million, and now that they've been selling at 84,
Yeah.
$84 a foot
Oh,
compared
wow.
to 200 or 250 a foot. And I don't understand. And they have stamina. They have financial stamina. But I guess they're saying I can only assume that the thought process is, look, let's cut our losses, whatever it is. We lose 1 million, we lose 2 million, we lose 100 million. It doesn't matter. We will sell it, deploy our money into other things that'll make us money over the next 10 years, because
Yeah.
this is the long haul. Now, there's been a lot of apartment conversions going on. So
Uh,
they're buying cheap, converting to apartments, and it's really interesting. But I followed the market in downtown specifically because we're running with uh, about a 75,000 square foot tenant that wanted to buy, and we just couldn't time the market exactly like we like to see it. But right now, I think Class A office buildings instead of being 300 a foot, with a decent occupancy level of 75 to 80%, is somewhere in the 70, $80 a foot, which is unbelievable. Where in other parts of the city, they are selling for 200, 225, 250, 275 a square foot. Downtown, it hovers around the mid 80s.
So I'm curious, for your stats, are you using CoStar, LoopNet? What do you generally use?
We basically use CoStar to get our statistics. We're finding that, statistics are one thing and action is another thing. And we actually provide, enough information not to confuse a buyer or an investor or a tenant, but specifically the right information so they can make an intelligent real estate decision.
Yeah. No, it's a kind of moving target right now with the numbers going all over the place, but
It really is.
yeah, you got to kind of know what the local market is doing to really shake it down.
Yeah, and you have to manage expectations,
Yeah.
of your clients. There a lot of them, uh, and it frustrates me because when we sign an agreement with our clients, it's a fiduciary responsibility. We treat all our clients with the same kind of due diligence and respect, and sense of urgency. And when I don't see that sense of urgency on the other part, on my client's part, my tendency is to kind of just shut down and move on to something that's, could
Yeah.
be a little bit more profitable.
Well, that's a good point that if the client is not motivated or they're just sort of, thinking about it, so to speak, it's kind of not worth our time to screw around with them.
No, and I sort of what I try to do with because I feel that there has to be a give back to the community for, my 40 some odd years of, being in a business that I feel, semi-successful in. Uh, and that is, if you have a problem, you have an issue, you have an interest in doing something, we may not be the right vehicle to help you fulfill that dream, but I'm happy to talk to them and guide them in the right direction.
Yeah.
So, every client that's out there is not an ideal client for me because of my skill sets. So, but I know enough people in the industry and I've been around long enough to at least properly guide them so they know where to go or who to go to or how to get started or, you know, uh, because everybody's like backwards on this thing. They start, they get a piece of property or they lease a piece of property, they sign a long-term lease, they guarantee the lease, and then they go to their attorney to get the business set up. And it's kind of ass backwards. Let's get the business set up. Let's get, tell me what you're trying to accomplish, and then we'll
Then
accomplish.
come back to me then.
Right. We kind of deal in results. We're results driven, and we like to really kind of stay that way.
Well, I
And if
think that's a very interesting tip for younger brokers that are out there is that, don't try and do everything and really serve your client because you may not be able to actually serve that particular client at that time, and it's better to send them off and get organized or whatever they need to do.
it really is, and we never kind of count our commissions on a deal because you never know if you're going to make the deal or not. And we work a lot with partners. We have partners in other states that we work with, as well as the referral system with residential realtors. So, and I don't take advantage of that, but we don't also we try not to discriminate with uh, small deals.
Mm.
So a lot of people say, no, I'm not going to do that. It's too small of a deal. And I will tell this quick story that one of my clients, who is an ongoing client, has been for 5 years now, made a lot of money with him. The first assignment I had was up in Northern California, not San Francisco, a little bit south of there, for 500 square feet.
Oh, wow.
Now, it doesn't sound like a whole lot, and I kind of felt obligated. I made the pitch and I got the business. And then to say, well, I'm not happy with this business. Well, needless to say, it's a national company today. We represent all their new locations. They add 2 to 3 locations a year, and they're in Texas, they're in Arizona, and they're in California, and just growing. So it was a very good decision on my part to accept the 500 square foot tenant.
Yeah, you're thinking, oh my God, what did I get into here? I'm not going
Yeah,
to make
right.
any money out of this. Yeah, and
And
that's
you never know how it's going to wind up. So you have to, you just have to kind of if you're prejudging every deal based on how much you're going to make, uh, I don't think you're going to get far.
exactly. Yeah. Well, particularly if you're working for yourself, that makes a big difference.
Right. You can do that. You can
Yeah.
afford to do it. And then you never know the referral system that'll come out of that deal because they were happy with it or future business. So, we have a good repeat business. I mean, I would say that 40% of my business every year is repeat business, which is a very, very high percentage for real estate in any category because most people don't develop the right relationship with their clients to begin with. They don't maintain that relationship going forward. And, maybe 5, 10 years down the road, they show up and say, okay, I'm here to help you with your renewal and get my commissions. And they say, well, geez, you should have been here 6 months ago because we went from 5,000 square feet to 50,000 square feet. And one of
You
your
missed-
competitors helped us. You missed the boat.
yeah, exactly.
And you don't show up Johnny lately on the spot to get your commission. If it's totally commission driven, it's the wrong reason to be in the business.
No, that's exactly right. It's all relationships.
It is. It is.
So give me a little clue. You've got 40% that are referrals or past referrals. How are you marketing yourself for the other 60%?
It's all referral based. We're 100% referral based, but the 30 to 40% is repeat business.
Oh, I see. Okay.
So it's we did a lease 5 years ago. The renewal's coming up. They want us to handle it. We handle that, or one of their friends that they do business with now needs a place. We help them with that. So it's all referral based, and part of my strategy before COVID was the University Club, which is downtown. There's
Mm.
one here and one in LA. They're out of uh, Texas, or they were. I think they got bought a couple of years back. But anyway, that was a good networking opportunity for me. And I served on the board of governors for the University Club, and you know, and now it's a mirror image of itself because of downtown
Ah,
losing so much, of its business population.
yeah. No, it's tough. Well, what just for fun, what's your favorite food or sandwich?
Well, my favorite food is steak. My favorite sandwich is a good turkey sandwich on a hard roll.
So I'm curious, what coming from Texas, what's your favorite kind of steak?
Uh, Ribeye.
Ribeye. All
Yeah.
right. All right.
And ribeye and or a good sirloin steak.
Yeah. Okay. All
New
right.
York sirloin steak. So I gotta bring both areas in.
Oh, in Texas, you got to eat a New York sirloin. Yeah. Okay. All right. Well, you're originally from Long Island, so that makes sense.
Right, right.
Yeah. So just for fun, again, who would you like to sit with that New York sirloin?
I think Einstein.
Yeah. No. Anything in particular about Einstein that you like?
I would just like to understand how he has, figured so much out and, what his kind of brain waves were telling him.
Yeah, no, very, very interesting fellow. So, well, I look forward to talking to you again in like 3 to 6 months to see
That'd be
how the
great.
San Diego market is going. So, we should put that on the docket.
I would love to do that, Bruce. I appreciate it.
All right. Well, let's stop for now and we'll reconvene in 3 to 6 months.
Look forward to it. Thank you for your time.
Oh, thank you.
That's a wrap on today's journey through the SF commercial real estate scene. Ready to share your story? Visit sfcommercialconversations.com/guest. Your insights could lead the next conversation.